as our speakers, presenters transition, when I was at the American Baptist College in Nashville in 1984, I left St. Thomas Virgin Islands. I thought my pastor was extremely progressive. As a matter of fact, he was called one of the most progressive pastors. And I enjoyed knowing that my pastor was extremely progressive. I always wondered, though, as a young fellow, why is it that the only time women were allowed behind the pulpit was to clean it? They were not allowed behind the pulpit, except to clean it. And not on Sundays. On Monday through Friday, they will go and wipe it down, make it nice, so that a man can get up. Or go to the Baptist conventions, and there'll be more women in the audience than men. And they'll say, brethren. I said, but there are all these women here. As a matter of fact, sometimes there's only a couple of men in the audience at a pulpit full of men. And I thank God for the capacity to study the Word enough to see. There's some stuff in there that sometimes we don't want to see, but they exist. And to this day, some of us still do this little move. All right, I'm going to the bathroom. But it started way back in the plantation church. Master, can I go to the bathroom? I'm on my way to the bathroom, Master. So we are the living, we have psychologized and made our existence to this day over 100 years later. Slave mentality. So I appreciate what Dr. Warren just said about let the speakers go so that we could learn and embrace and sometimes reject. Most times say, hey, this is an opportunity to study further. Our next presentation is the last for today, but no less exciting. As a matter of fact, amazingly exciting for me. And there's two things that I've got for it at the same time. And that is the young lady that we're about to put, and I do mean young lady, you're about to get something. We're going to FaceTime her because she was so prepared to be here, so excited to be here. But she had a setback, medical setback. And so we're going to present. So we will have another one of our very honest student, Kiersten Fluellen, who is, ladies and gentlemen, read her bio, but who is, ladies and gentlemen, she was selected to be one of our CDC interns for this year. Let's have a hand clap for Kiersten Fluellen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Well, as he said, I'm Kiersten Fluellen, and I will be introducing Ms. Mamie H. Clemons on today. Ms. Mamie H. Clemons attended Tuskegee Institute and the University of Pittsburgh, where she earned her Bachelor of Science degree in 1955. She was the first Black member of the University of Pittsburgh's Hines Chapel Choir when she attended school there. She went on to become a teacher who taught math, science, English, and social studies. Clemons also worked as a vice principal and principal in several schools such as Heron Junior High, Latimer Knoxville Junior High, and Langley High before retiring in 1979. The prayer warrior of the Hillcrest Church in Pittsburgh received the National Council of Negro Women, acronym NCNW, Legacy Award from the Rankin, Mon Valley, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, NCNW. Clemons was one of the 5 women who received the Legacy Award. Legacy Awards are presented to women who show the spirit of civil rights leaders Mary McLeod Bethune and Dorothy I. Height. Bethune was the founder of NCNW, and Height was the 4th elected national president of the organization. She served until 1998 when she became the chair and president emerita. Her legacy and leadership spans a 24-year career as she educator in the Pittsburgh Public Schools. She was a teacher, director of curriculum, and principal. Her students became distinguished among their peers as members of the junior courtiers and junior misses. I present to you Ms. Mamie H. Clemons.
Mamie, she's on FaceTime. So she will hear what you say, and you get a chance. Listen, we didn't have, when she was at Tuskegee Institute, we didn't have this technology. So now that we have it at Tuskegee University, we're going to use it.
That's right.
How old?
Hello, my friends, and I know you are my friends because you are here. I'm going to tell you a little something about 100 years. A day, January 1, 1917, my father had to drive horse and buggy 8 miles to get a doctor to deliver me. And that's why I'm here. So I want to tell you a little about my early life. My early life was spent at home with my parents and my older siblings, which are all boys. And so at that time, growing up to be the young lady that they wanted me to be, I grew up to be a worker with the animals, the cows, learning to milk, then going to school with my mother, who was teacher. My father had bought the property for the build the school at that time. So then I just move on very quickly to my early development, learning at home, learning what to do and what not to do. That takes a lot of time to develop a child into being what they thought the child should be. The community was there to help. I began at very young age to learn to milk cows, to be able to churn. You don't know what a churn is. To churn milk and make butter come. And I had a little song I was saying. Come, butter, come. Come, butter, come. Little boy standing at the gate waiting for us. And they marked me by that, learning to do work and meaningful for the family. Then I began to learn about planting, that you reap what you sow. Because if you sow corn seeds, you don't look for cotton seeds. And so I learned that was something personal that I could learn at school. And so from that point on, I began to go to school with my mom, and then it went from my mom to my brothers. I finished high school at Montgomery County Training School in Atmore, Alabama. In 1934, I completed the 12th grade. From the 12th grade, moving on to Alabama State Teachers College. After being there at Alabama State Teachers College in 1936 and 37, I entered Tuskegee. But I didn't get an opportunity to graduate at Tuskegee, but I learned enough to graduate. So because I was taught chemistry by my older brother. And we had learned, I had learned there in Evergreen, Alabama, we could not, when I said we could not go to the library to get books. And my brother would go in the back of the library at night, see the librarian, and get books for us to read. So I'll count that to my knowledge and beginning to learn what is important and what not is important. So then I was able to, after some time, little time at Alabama State College, I began to teach on a provisional certificate. That is where you think you have enough brain power to teach. So I was able to do that. And from there I came then to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I began to study further at the University of Pittsburgh, where I graduated with a BS degree in 1955. But you know, I was able to be a first there. I was the first, I say, American, we would say black American. But I was the first there to sing in the Hines Chapel Choir there at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And from there, I graduated in 55, as I said, and received a teaching certificate for the Heron Hill Junior High School. And there, I have worked all the way from China, Alabama, to Evergreen, Escambia County Training School, and then on to I say from Montgomery to Tuskegee, and Tuskegee University. I didn't get an opportunity to graduate at Tuskegee. I just said I also ran, and I was there. But getting my degree then from the University of Pittsburgh in 1955, I began to teach legally, I would say, teach legally. And then teaching there, I taught school for the state of Pennsylvania until 1979 when I retired there. So I can say that all of my learning has been from what I could learn how to do, what to do, what time to do, knowing what counted in life. Then for my religious training, I began to want to do something very special. And I knew that prayer was the answer. So that is where I began with what is known as the prayer voice, as a prayer warrior. That is taking people where they are, praying for them, and knowing that God was the answer to all prayer. So I was very fortunate then. There's so much I could tell you of the in-between, but time is irrelevant right now. And so I have been asked several times to explain what I know as the 7 W's of prayer. And the 7 W's of prayer deals with prayer, how you pray, what you pray for, and what you expect. So at that, with these prayer boards, I began to pray for people. As I started with one little board. Now I'm up to 14 boards. But I'm so grateful for that. And I say that prayer is the answer. Prayer is the answer to every problem. It puts us in tune with divine wisdom, which knows how to adjust everything perfectly. So often, we don't pray certain situations because from our standpoint, we think it's hopeless to ask, and we get tangled up. But nothing is impossible I want to say to the young people, nothing is impossible with God. If you think you cannot be strong enough, you can't be. If you think that you cannot handle something, you can with God's help. We can learn to apply all that you have learned, whether in the cotton field, whether milking a cow, or whatever you're doing, if you do it knowing that God will help you do it. So we just simply say, if anything is causing worry, anxiety, let's just stop rehearsing those things. Stop rehearsing the difficulty. Trust God and His healing. Trust Him for His healing. Trust Him for His power that He has. And then we will know what is for us. So I will begin with the 7 W's that I learned about prayer. First thing in prayer, I pray God's will be done. Pray God's will be done. In Luke, the 22nd chapter and the 42nd verse, it says, not my will, but thine be done. And the way is the second W. Means the way is the direction that you would take. We are not perfect. We are not near perfect. But God is perfect. Then we have His Word. God's Word will prepare you what God has set forth for you to do. Then we wait on God. Wait on Him. Don't try to hurry God. You don't set a time for what God will do for you. But you will wait on the Lord. Be of good courage. And He will see you through. Then we will watch. We watch. We wait. And as we wait, and as I repeat, we ask God, let His will be done in His way, through His Word, while we wait on Him. Then we watch. We watch. We wait. We watch. And then we do something else while we're watching. We don't just sit around and watch. We want to continue to work. We want to work the works of God sent us. While it's day, night cometh, no man can work. And after we have worked, then we come to the point where God has been so good to me that I must worship Him. And then you worship Him. I repeat those W's. You pray God's will be done in His way, through His Word, while we watch, and then we wait, and then we work, and then what God has done for us, we worship Him. We worship Him both in spirit and in truth. And then I just like that song, pass me not, O gentle Savior. Hear my humble cry. While on earth thou art calling, please don't pass me by. Then I love William Cullen Bryant. I would not dare try to recite all the verses to his writing on family topics, which I'll just repeat the last verse. The last verse would say to you, so live that when our sons come to join that innumerable caravan, which move to that mysterious realm where each shall take his chamber in that silent hall of death. Thou go not like a quarried slave to his grave, soothed and sustained by an unfaltering trust. Approach thy grave like one who wraps the drapery of his couch about him and lies down to pleasant dreams. There is so much that can be told about the things that you have learned in life. I have learned something that keeps me smiling, and that is, let no one make you angry. If they can make you angry, they're smarter than you are. So keep smiling. A smile does more than a frown could ever be in your life. And if you can if they can make you angry, they're smarter than you are. So let's keep these things in mind, that time is important. I want especially my young people to know that time is important. Wasting time means wasting part of your life. Every moment that God has given to you, you should put that into practice. Use every moment that God has given to you. I thank you so much for having a moment with you today. In Jesus' name, amen. And I know you are my friends because you were here.
Good afternoon, Mother Mamie.
Good afternoon.
We just listened to your wonderful presentation. We just want to give you another hand clap. Now, we do it. Is there anyone who have a question for our baby, especially one of the young people?
Would you tell us about her time with Dr. Carter?
Oh, can you tell us about your time with Dr. Carter, please?
About my time with Dr. Carver. In 1936, he started the Young Carver Chemical Society. He was given an award at the Science Building. I was the person that held the umbrella over Dr. Carver when they unveiled the bronze bust. It happened to be 100+ degrees. And I was the one that was chosen to hold the umbrella over Dr. Carver.
Thank you very much. Now, do any for young people have a question? Yes. No, she was. Go ahead.
I want to know if you have seen that movie, War Room.
The question is, did you see the movie War Room?
Did you see the movie War Room? Yes. Oh, the movie War Room? Yes, I did. And I have performed that same duty with my prayer band. I started a power prayer hour and started with just a board and some pictures of people that I prayed with and prayed for. But those boards now have multiplied from the 14th board with over 1,000 people that I have prayed for during their problems and so far all the things that have plagued them.
Thank you very much, Aunt Mamie.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Amen. Oh, wait, another question, go ahead.
My question is with, I guess speaking from experience and having lived through tumultuous times as a Black woman with Jim Crow, racial segregation, we all know our historic history. With the current climate of today and like all our access to technology as young Black people who are, I guess, in the middle of the revolution right now, we're trying to fight the fight. Do you have any advice for us?
I didn't quite understand that. Would you repeat that for me, please?
So the young lady asked the question, with all of the tumultuous stuff that you have seen in our history, do you have any advice for young Black women in today's culture?
Oh, yes, I do. I feel that there's no end to what a Black woman could do. And when I look back and think about where God has brought me, from walking to school while the others, and you know what I mean by others, while the others rode the bus to school, we walked 2 miles to school. When I was teaching on a provisional certificate, I also walked 2 miles to a little wooden schoolhouse in Owassa, Alabama. So there is no end to what the Black woman can do and will do if she puts her faith and trust in God.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. And you hear the clap, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very kindly. Thank you very much. Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Oh,
May I say a couple of things? The reasons that she's not here is that she prepares dinner.
okay.
She prepares dinner for half a dozen or so young people every week, and they come over after church. Well, she prepared dinner the week before Thanksgiving, and there were 14 people there, and they left before they cleaned up. She cleaned up, and she fell and broke her ankle in 3 places. It's a wonderful miracle. When they went to the hospital, the orthopedic surgeon said, we have no option except to operate. And the anesthesiologist said, I've never worked on 100-year-old lungs. I can get her down, but I can't bring her back. So they put her in a soft cast, and 6 weeks later, she saw the orthopedic surgeon. And he said, I was there. He came in the room, a big Jewish guy. I mean, he must have been 6'7", as orthopedic surgeons are. And he said, he looked at the x-ray, and he didn't say hello. He said, this is nothing but the work of God.
Yes.
And he said, if you were 40 years old, I'd say it's fine, 6 weeks, it's good. But since you're a little older, I want you to give it another 2 weeks. She was in rehab at a very nice place. And at the end of those 2 weeks, we went to her house, and she felt so good about being home, she started walking around the apartment. We went back to rehab, and a week or so later, a few days later, she called a cab and went home. She had a little setback so that she didn't think she could walk from the end of the ramp onto the airplane. And so she decided not to come or risk it, but she still wanted to be here. I will tell you that she has had her driver's license renewed for another 4 years. And so she is not slowing down at 101. we started on a high note, we stayed at a high note, and we're concluding on a high note. We want to say that, ladies and gentlemen, before you leave today, every day we're evaluating our sessions. So you will receive an evaluation form. We just ask you to fill it out quickly and turn it in.